Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Exotica. And if you're like an arcade racing game or an arcade game made by Midway, you're going to definitely enjoy this video today. That is because there are improvements coming to MAME, hopefully in the most recent release that should be coming soon, where Midway Zeus II is getting a lot better emulation. And if you've ever tried to emulate something like Cruis'n Exotica before, you would find out that it was basically missing almost all of the graphics, and it really wasn't a playable experience. We had Cruis'n USA and Cruis'n World working perfectly fine in MAME, but Exotica always had issues. That is not going to be the case in any way, shape, or form anymore. You'll see two different captures here with two different stages of the improvements, some interesting flashing on some of the lighting models in one, and you're also going to get improvements to Midway's The Grid, which is basically a third-person shooter with almost a mouse and keyboard style control scheme. Before you get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. But honestly, the entire Cruis'n franchise has always been one of my favorite arcade racing games, not made by Sega or Namco, and now that we have it working for the most part in MAME, at least in this commit build, it's going to be a lot more exciting. And that really is the thing, you're going to see a lot of improvements around the board in different game and systems in MAME the next release. Now, just because I show a preview does not mean it's 100% going to make the most recent build. When that comes out, it could be something where it takes a couple months for it to actually be merged in, because not every single commit is accepted, not everything is merged into the mainline branch. It's just one of those things. MAME strives for accuracy, so sometimes it takes a couple attempts to get code actually into the emulation. But you'll see right now, you can see the road, you can see the vehicles. Yes, there's a couple flashes here and there, which you won't see later on in the video, but this is markedly improved from where it came from before. And that is absolutely outstanding, because the Zeus II is a fun piece of hardware. It's actually one I don't have in my collection. I have the original Midway Zeus with a copy of Invasion the Abductors, but it also has Mortal Kombat 4 on it. And Zeus II is basically just an improved version of that with a little bit better graphical capability. And even though Cruis'n Exotica is an amazing game, improvements to the grid are really what I'm stoked about on this most recent build, because this one's definitely one that I feel like maybe a lot of people don't know about. It's a third-person action kind of shooting game with a little bit of platform where you have some amazing power-ups you can collect and some really fun gameplay. And that really is something that's going to be good for everybody, because again, I'm pretty sure you know about something like Cruis'n Exotica, but the grid, maybe not. So you tell me down below, did you know this game existed or not, and if so, have you played it? I remember seeing it maybe like 10 years or so ago in an arcade. I had played it before, maybe when it was new, but I was traveling around. The hotel had a game room. I popped in and I saw a copy of The Grid there. Definitely played it from start to finish and had a fun time. It is violently fun in all of the best Midway ways, kind of like something like Mortal Kombat, where you will see some exploding bodies here or there. It really is a fun time. Definitely takes a little bit to configure the controller on it though. I have captured this previously for a video when it definitely worked a lot worse, and it maybe takes like 5 minutes to get your control scheme 100% buttoned up. And big thanks to Space Rock 12 for sending over the majority of the captures, one of the members of my Discord. I left a link to his YouTube channel in the description below, because he's trying to grow his audience. I've been trying to help him with that, because he does a lot of long plays of emulation improvements, things that I never actually get a chance to take a look at these days. But we always want better emulation, because I always say video game emulation is video game preservation, and it's going to keep a lot of these games alive, because even though Cruis'n Exotica, a very popular game, you don't see all that many arcade cabinets for it out in the world anymore. And as far as the grid is concerned, I feel like this one wasn't really a huge hit for Midway, although I am just presuming on that one, so you might be hard pressed to even find a cabinet anywhere. If we go over to another capture, this is from the Cool Pup, the moderator of my Discord channel, and if you want to join, the link is in the description below, because we have an entire MAME chat there where people track updates and commits. You will see that the graphics improved even more between captures. That is because a lot of times these improvements and innovations come in stages, and you'll basically have a temp version to kind of test out, and then suddenly it will get even better. And because Cruis'n Exotica is such a fun and vibey game, it really is amazing to have something like this available for everyone to enjoy. Let's do the first of two soundtrack samples. First, we're going to go into Cruis'n Exotica, and later on in the video, I'll give you a soundtrack sample of the grid. But listen to the audio quality, see if it sounds good to you, and I'll be right back with more. I mean, that definitely sounds pretty accurate to me, but you leave me a comment down below and you tell me what you think. And if you're wondering, yes, this is on N64. Yes, you can enhance it in Rosalie's Moop and GUI, but the arcade version is going to have more polygons, better textures, and just better overall performance all around. And that's because, obviously, it was way more powerful hardware than the N64 was at home, even if the original Cruis'n USA got that coming to Ultra 64 moniker in the beginning of the game. And that is because this hardware really doesn't have much to do with something like an N64 in any way, shape, or form. Which is kind of a marketing technique that Nintendo and Midway used back in the day to get people hyped up for what was then the Ultra 64 and then became just the N64. As we go through here again on one of the iterative builds, you will see that some of the textures are going to be missing off the vehicles, and I kind of mix and match this just to show you how these actually get made. I could have just used the most recent build and footage and shown you guys everything perfect, but I really like talking about how emulation evolves over time, as you can clearly tell on the channel. And I will say Exotica may be my favorite game in the franchise just for how weird it is. But popping back over to the grid, this is really the one I want you to play, because this is basically just a 3D Smash TV in all the best ways possible, and it totally is, in my opinion, a hidden gem in arcades, and you know I love talking about those. If you are curious, the Midway Zeus and Zeus II, it is half a CPU-based system, but the actual video graphics processor on board is an FPGA chip, kind of like you see on Mr., except back in the day they were basically loading up their custom code to make the video processor on something like Zeus II, so it's really an interesting piece of hardware. It's not using anything like 3D effects, which a lot of other manufacturers used back in the day. It has that FPGA chip on board to handle the rest of what you're seeing, and that really is the fun thing. Midway games had a very specific look to them. They always were colorful, they always had really nice textures, they always had a vibe. It was completely different than Sega, Namco, or Konami out there, and it really is a bummer that Midway couldn't make it and stay alive in arcades, because they made some absolutely banger games and some really good hidden gems like the grid. And the performance here is rock solid stable so long as you're not working with a potato PC, because don't forget, MAME only utilizes your CPU. A lot of people, when they talk about their MAME systems, will give me the specs of their GPU, and I have to tell them it's doing absolutely nothing. Every bit of emulation you see in MAME is CPU based, so you want the best CPU you can get with the most performant and fastest single core, because even though it will spread across multiple cores, the number one core, the one that's running the fastest, is going to be what really drives your performance. And moving back over to Cruis'n Exotica again, I just love the tracks in this game. I love how over the top and weird it is, and honestly it's been one that I've been wanting to buy an arcade board for a while, but now that it's basically going to be buttoned up in MAME shortly, I think I'll actually keep my wallet in my desk drawer and not buy something that I won't need anymore. Because a lot of my arcade collection is just based simply upon what it is you can't emulate, and now that Cruis'n Exotica is going to be emulating almost perfectly sometime soon, I can definitely keep my cash on hand for something even more rare and exotic out there, or I guess Exotica in this instance, pun very much intended. Let's do the second soundtrack sample, the grid this time, so you can hear the audio, you can hear the sound effects and the music. So go ahead and listen, and even if you've never played it before, you tell me if it sounds good or not, and I'll be right back with just a little bit more. So there you have it, there is the audio in the grid, and just so you know, the Zeus II has all of 2 games that run on the board, and you're watching them right now, Cruis'n Exotica and the grid. And honestly, the graphics are very similar. The only real difference in Zeus II on that FPGA video chip on board is that it runs at a higher resolution and may have a little bit better frame rate, but honestly, there's not a lot known about the hardware, so it really is hard to say exactly what the changes were outside of a higher resolution. But if you've been wanting to emulate these games in MAME and you found, especially on the Exotica side of things, you really couldn't see the actual road and you couldn't see most of the graphics to make the game quote-unquote playable, that is going to be changing shortly. So hopefully next MAME release it'll be in there, maybe not. We'll just have to wait and see whether or not that commit gets accepted. But short of that, we're done. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. And if you know where there is a grid cabinet out there in the world, I would be curious, because I always love asking that question, because inevitably somebody has spotted one in the last couple months and reports on it in the comments so that people can actually go out and play it. But definitely check this out when it's available. You can grab it on GitHub now in the artifacts, but I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.